These are Cornell notes for Lesson 3.7 and 3.8 for Course 2, and I am Mrs. McCowan. In the top of your Cornell notes, label the topic, fractions, label today's page, today's date, our first subtopic is estimating fractions. So for number 1, I'm going to estimate the fraction and round it. So by estimating, I mean round the fraction. So if I take 4/7 as a decimal to estimate what I think it would be like, 4/7 is equal to 0.57. So I'm going to estimate 4/7 is estimated to be 1/2. 1/2 is 0.5, and 4/7 is about 1/2. Okay, number 2, I'm going to estimate 13/16, which is 0.8125 as a decimal, and I'm going to estimate this to be about 1. Why is Mrs. McCowan estimating it to be about 1? Well, is it closer to 1 or is it closer to 1/2? That's right, it's closer to 1. So I'm going to estimate it to be 1. So now I can estimate the difference for number 3 and estimate 1/2 minus 1 equals 1/2. That is correct. Okay, our second subtopic is estimating products. With estimating products, we're going to estimate each product and then multiply. So I'm going to estimate 4 2/7. Well, 2/7 is about 0.28, and 9/10 is about 0.9. So I'm going to estimate 4 2/7 to be about 4. That's right, because 2 is closer to 0 than 5. And then I'm going to estimate 9/10. Is it closer to 5 or closer to 1? To the whole. That's correct. It's closer to the whole. So we're going to estimate that to be 7. So now I'm going to use my estimations. 4 times 7. And what is 4 times 7? 28. That is correct. So my estimation for estimating the products of 4 2/7 and 6 9/10 is 28. Our next subtopic is adding and subtracting like fractions. With like fractions, we know that all we have to do is add or subtract the numerator. So I'm going to line up my fractions. Denominator always stays the same if we have like denominators. That's called like fractions if they have the same denominator. So 3 plus 4 is, 3 plus 1 is 4. That is correct. Okay, we're going to do the same thing for number 8. So I have 7/9 minus 4/9. Like denominators stay the same. So my denominator is 9. 7 minus 4 is 3. That is correct. Now, could I simplify either of these fractions? Yes, I could simplify. This would become 1/3, and 4/10 would become 2/5. And if the directions say simplify, simplify your fractions. Okay, the last subtopic is adding and subtracting unlike denominators. So when we have two fractions that have different denominators, we have to find a common denominator. So what's a common denominator for 8 and 12? 24, that's right. So we're going to put 24. So how do I get from 8 to 24? Multiply by 3. So I'm going to multiply by 3 to the numerator. Whatever I do to the denominator, I also do to the numerator. So we have 3 times 3 is 9. How do I get from 12 to 24? Times 2, that's correct. So 5 times 2 is 10, that is correct. So 9 plus 10 equals 19. 24's denominator stays the same. Okay, so that's the final answer. It cannot simplify, so the answer is 19/24. Number 10, I have 1/10 and 5/8. What would be a common denominator for 10 and 8? 40, that is correct. So how do I get from 10 to 40? Multiply by 4. So 1 times 4 is 4. How do I get from 8 to 40? Multiply by 5, that is correct. So 5 times 5 is 25. So all I have to do is keep my denominator the same. Now I subtract my numerators. So what is 4 minus 25? Negative 21, that is correct. So I have a negative fraction, negative 21 over 40. This cannot simplify, so I leave it as is. Okay, now I'd like you to write a summary of your Cornell notes. Write what you learned, write what you now know how to do, and write what you reviewed. Thank you. If you have questions in class, please ask Mrs. McCowan.